guys, so I'm Laura, and yes, I'm the founder of WXYZ Jewelry. So I'm from Philadelphia. I grew up on the main line and went to school at University of Pennsylvania. That's my connection with Philly. I'm going to talk about creativity and the idea of breaking rules in order to reach your goals and accomplish whatever it may be that you're trying to do in your career or life. And so to do that, I'm going to talk a little bit about my background growing up, kind of the personal aspects of my creativity and where they're rooted, in the hopes that it will resonate with you and your history as well in different ways. I was really lucky to grow up in a very creative environment. There's a funny story that I think articulates the source of creativity in my family. The idea of exploration and challenging rules. So there's a funny picture here of, that's my mom eating mud as a baby. And so my grandmother, upon finding her infant daughter sitting in a puddle of mud, eating it like it was chocolate ice cream, instead of getting upset and grabbing her and cleaning her off, she said, you know, I'm going to take a picture. And not only is that the best gift I think that you can give to a child, allowing them to explore and live inside of their innocence, but also it's a great gift to yourself as an adult to be able to laugh at that and enjoy it. So I was very lucky for this to be kind of passed on to me. When I went to kindergarten, I wanted to dress in crazy colors, things that didn't match, things that maybe would have been considered costumes normally, but I wanted that to be my everyday outfit. And I was very lucky that my mother let me roll with that and go to school wearing kind of silly / crazy things. And then as I got a little bit older, this kind of matured into a more refined creativity, although I don't know if this is necessarily refined. But I was exploring objects and their function and kind of taking that function away, using them for something different. This is a pretty simple application of just scarves being used to make dresses and exploring different ways, like, you know, it's a headscarf, it's a tank top, it's a skirt, you know, whatever. And it became fun, but also an outlet for exploring materials. This is me wearing my father's suit. So as my creativity matured, so did my interest in commerce. The idea of making a product and selling it is kind of at the foundation of this American dream. And it was something that I observed from my father, who was a businessman. And as growing up and kind of trying on all these different outfits and roles, I actually had a bit of a rude awakening. I remember in 2nd grade going to school and deciding that, okay, we're gonna make a project during recess today. Gathered a bunch of friends and we said, okay, we're gonna collect rocks and we're gonna paint them. And then we're gonna sell them. I don't really know in 2nd grade what I was planning to do with the money that I was planning to make from selling the rocks, but that wasn't the point. It was that there was something we were going to accomplish and kind of prove the success of this project in selling these beautiful objects that we were to make. However, my teacher did not think this was a good idea. Yeah, I was not allowed to take school property, move it somewhere else, claim it as my own and sell it. And, you know, I understand where she was coming from and telling me that that was not okay. But, you know, there's a part of it also where I wonder now, looking back at it, if there was some sort of, I mean, maybe there's, you know, a bit of a gender role, being an entrepreneur, I wasn't allowed to be an entrepreneur in that moment. And for me, being kind of called out in front of my class and told, no, you are not allowed to do this, was an instance where I was learning a rule, even though it was a very specific instance. As a child, that became part of my world, and I was interpreting that on a larger scale. So yeah, this is something that was definitely formative in my experience. And society does that. We learn rules, a lot of times through embarrassment, through our elders or superiors that maybe don't understand how small things can impact our bigger understanding of the world. And you know, it was sad in that instant for me. It dampened my spirits, it challenged my individuality, it challenged my entrepreneurship, and maybe even also my artistic inclinations, or feeling that I could apply those artistic inclinations to a project with an economic gain, perhaps. So, however, there are great parts of what we learn in society. We learn teamwork, we learn rules of interacting in a larger scale. This is just an example of, like, you know, a soccer team. We have order, we have our elders teaching us. That's my dad, awesome mustache dad. So these are great things that we learn, you know, community, responsibility, practicality, survival, expertise. We learn skills. And then fast forward, you know, I grow up, and I tried to interpret all the rules that I had learned as a child and apply them to shaping my career and shaping my future. And I decided that, you know what, I have so many creative interests, but what I really need is kind of an academic or professional background. So I decided to go to school for liberal arts, which may not have the clearest professional application, I'm sure you all. But you know, it was approved by society, so that's cool. So I went to University of Pennsylvania and did get a great education, but I was always doing my creative outlets on the side. I didn't think they could be part of my career. So when I graduated, I actually decided, you know what, I'm going to break these rules, and I'm going to go into a career path that is not necessarily safe, not necessarily assured, and I decided to go into what was building as a passion of mine of design, particularly in jewelry. So this is me graduating from Penn. I was like, peace. I dedicated myself to learning the techniques behind metalsmithing, which is something that I had actually already started when I was in high school and done throughout college, and I was lucky to get a job working for a designer. And then I also went on to work for a company that managed manufacturing for much larger companies, and I got a great education in kind of industrial scale manufacturing. These are pictures I took at one of the factories that the company I worked with in China. And so my mind and my eyes were opened up to this whole atmosphere of creativity on the physical scale and the commercial scale. And then, you know, after gaining a lot of experience in the industry, I decided to kind of break the rules once again and start a business and start my own design. And in doing that, I actually decided to manufacture in the United States. My studio's in Brooklyn, and so, you know, I looked towards, like, what are the models of success within the industry? How do we create commerce? How do we build a brand? And what are the keys for success? It's identifying your customer. What do they want? What scale of products do they want to wear? Do they have to have a function? Are they wearable? They have to be sophisticated, right? And, you know, commerce has taught us, oh, manufacturing overseas is the only way to make a profit. And I said, you know, forget that, but the other things, you know what, I'm gonna make things for people to wear. So I started building a vocabulary of wearable jewelry, but my goal was to create things that could be empowering and express individuality. You know, do it subtly and do it with elegance, but to allow people to express themselves through their accessories and what they wear. And so at some point, though, I decided, okay, this isn't quite working the way I thought it would. I'm making all the products, I'm trying to get it in front of stores around the world, and we picked up some great accounts. People who saw the jewelry loved it, but I wasn't getting that breakthrough success in the world that I was really hoping to achieve. So I decided, you know what, we're gonna play. Forget trying to build something for the customer. This is actually one of the products being built, and I decided, let's make a baseball hat. A baseball hat made out of metal. It's going to be completely unfunctional. Just like the scarves that made the dresses, I was dividing the function and the form and the materials. And so let's take away the function of a baseball cap, but use it as an accessory that's purely aesthetic. So with this, I decided, let's forget about commerciality. Let's forget about selling the product. Let's create something editorial that's just for press, that's just for play, that we're not trying to achieve any of our goals. Let's get rid of all of the expectations. And what was the results? The results was that we actually were able to reach all of the stores that we had been trying to access internationally. We got into Bergdorf Goodman and built a full window for them. And basically, when I went to market and showed the stores, the buyers were actually intrigued and brought over by, like, all of the hats and the crazy pieces that I thought were completely unwearable, completely unsaleable. We developed a stock list of 40 stores internationally, the best stores that I could only dream of getting into. And so there was, like, oh, and then also, this is a fun little, so this is one of the hats that we made. It's actually a visor. that can also be turned back down, upside down to make a crown. And actually, Beyonce recently wore it in her video Summer 11. I don't know if you remember, she's like meditating and we're like this Egyptian crown for her. So to wrap it up, the moral of this story is that sometimes to achieve your goals, you kind of have to let go of your expectations. Here are some of the hats that we built. Here we go. This is actually a bra, a bow. This is a veil. So it's kind of like playing with the structure of these conceptual like symbols of accessories. This is a baseball cap and a bracelet. This is a variation of the visor I'm wearing. These are different hats. So yeah, it's like exploding, it's making things that totally break the rules of what I thought were wearable. So like, what's in the window of Bergdorf's? It happens to be WXYZ, and we basically were like, let's create something that normally would never be within Bergdorf's, and that's what drew them in and gave us the trust, gave me the trust to kind of have carte blanche of making one of their sensational Fifth Avenue windows during Fashion Week. This is working with Linda Fargo and the team behind the scenes at Bergdorf's. Okay, so this is an example of some of our stockists. Here are more. This is in Selfridges in London. They gave us a full feature within their store during the holidays in London. The question that I have for all of you, and what I'd like to give you a little assignment to take home with you tonight is, okay, write down what are your goals? And write down what are all the rules that you think you need to ascribe to in order to achieve those goals. And then take those rules and maybe write them each on a different piece of paper. And then each day of next week, rip one of them up and see how you can break that rule in a way that you didn't expect. And you might be surprised that that might actually be the key to achieving what you want to achieve. Oh, here's some more jewelry. And interestingly, so I started out trying to sell jewelry, and it was actually building something outside of my initial goal that brought people back into the jewelry and made them interested in that. And this is the team WXYZ. We've been building the brand. We have 2 full-time employees, some amazing freelance helpers, and a few interns who are making it all possible. This is everyone playing Jeff with their favorite pieces. And so yes, what are the rules? What are the rules for success? How do we break them? And just as a final note, let's go all eat some mud.